underwritten. These are the ones that people are really healthy. You want to try to get them into these policies. As an agent, as a commissioned agent, you want to know ahead of time when you write these, it's not issued and paid for like that. It takes about 6 weeks sometimes to go through. And the reason why is because a nurse has to go out there and do a blood and urine sample, and then they have to have medical records from the doctors to review them to make sure they're healthy enough to get the best form of insurance that we offer. In this top echelon, you're going to go to iGroup Tools. You go into quotes, and this is what you're going to use for all of your guaranteed universal life and your term. If you're running those type quotes, you're going to go to this website.
You said universal life and term?
Yep. Would you sit down? Okay, this is basically mine. So, it's my birthday in here. I put male, non-tobacco, preferred plus, 20-year term, and I want, I'm going to change this now. I want to have money. There we have it. These are all the different term ones that we offer. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, I've never written American General or Legal Banner or SBLI. I used to write Genworth before. I stick with North American and Transamerica, okay? If you go out there and get contracts for every single thing that's out there, I mean, again, I know it could be $1 or $2 cheaper, whatever it is, but if I'm going to write somebody a North American for $22.88 or this one for $21, it's literally, it's $1.08 or $1.09 more, whatever. So I would write the North American. But this is how you actually run the quotes. That's a $500,000 20-year term that takes me to 52 years old, and it's only $22 a month. That's dirt cheap. So if you have a friend or family that says, hey, you know, you guys sell life insurance as well, and it depends, what do you want your life insurance for? I've got 2 policies on myself. I've got a very large term, and then I've got a universal life that I overfund as an extra savings account. My cost of insurance is down here. I put way more into it. It's actually been making good interest rates for me. When that 20-year term is done, that rate is going to skyrocket, right? You can keep it. That's the whole thing. If you ever see a term to 90 or term to 100, you can keep it all the way to your 100, but the rate's not going to stay the same. It goes from $22 a month to $220 a month, and then $280, and then $500 because they want you to drop it, okay? So if you run across people that want just a basic term policy and their goal is to cover a mortgage or for kids or whatever else, this is a great alternative because that's really inexpensive.
What's the difference between it says preferred and then super preferred?
That's how Genworth calls super preferred. They all have their different ways of saying it's the best one that they offer. So American General says the best category we offer is preferred plus, preferred plus, preferred plus. Super preferred, preferred best. It's basically just their version of what that means. It's all the same rating though. Okay, I want to show you guys a different thing here now. We got same exact thing, except now I'm 65 years old. Okay? Went out and wrote somebody a meds up, told me to come back and write life insurance for them and take a look at their different options here. And they wanted basically something for burial, maybe a little bit left over. I want to show you guys the difference between this category of life insurance and this category of life insurance. Remember I told you it's a little bit harder to get, but it's better quotes? Okay? So, somebody write this down. $73 for 25 grand. for 25 grand, right? So this guy's in fantastic health. He golfs 3 times a week. He's in great health. All these other agents are quoting him this type policy, right? Well, I don't know. This literally just happened 3 weeks ago for Lady in Goose Creek. I've known for a while. Somebody came by and tried selling her one of these basic policies, and I asked her about her health. She's 72 years old, and she just got super preferred. They do not judge you by your age. It's all about your health, okay? So, would you rather have the same $25,000 policy in this category for $127, or in this category for 73 bucks? That's a $50 difference, right? So when I do mine now and will be, or my triplicate of choice, this one's going to be $127. I could probably get him 50 grand for the same price as what this one is, okay? But that's the major difference. So when you're talking about these, a lot of times you'll run across people who have a $25,000 Foresters policy they just took out and say, why do you have this policy? Well, that's what the agent sold me. You don't have any medications, you don't have anything going on. You're in this category right now. If you want to stay there, that's fine, but if I put you in a room of 100 of my clients that are 72 years old, you're healthier than 90% of them. Why be in a category when your health warrants you a different policy? You can either save 50 bucks a month by going to this one, or give your kids a check for an extra 10 grand. What would you prefer? And now that you're now and will be. Now you have Foresters, what you could have is the triplicate of choice over here. This is what we do all the time.
What are the pros and cons of doing the universal versus the whole life then?
That's a great question. What's the overall difference with the Foresters? What's the pro to the Foresters? What is the Foresters going to do over the next 20, 30 years that the Guaranteed Universal Life will not?
Build cash value?
Exactly. The Foresters policy is going to build cash value, right, all the way through. So if they wanted to borrow against it, they could. The Guaranteed Universal Life policy is going to build a little bit of cash value, but it's not designed for that. It's going to build cash value for the first couple of years, and eventually the cash value will hit 0. When they're 80 years old, the cash value might be 0. Does that mean our policy is done? Well, if it wasn't a Guaranteed Universal Life, it would be done. But because that rider we have to it, it's guaranteed to whatever age we set it to. Most of them are guaranteed to 121. So, if you're looking for a policy to build cash value that you can borrow against, then go with the Foresters. If you're looking for the absolute best form of permanent life insurance and for the cheapest price, go with the Guaranteed Universal Life in North America.
Most people are not worried about building cash value in the life insurance.
That's why it's important you talk about the bucket, saying, let's talk about what cash value really is. Cash value inside of that policy, that 40 grand looks great, right? What can you do? You want to surrender it? No, my wife needs this if I die. You want to borrow against it? No, I've already got credit cards. I don't need another one. So what good is that? When you die, do your beneficiaries get it? What do you mean they don't get it? That's my cash value. No, they get the death benefit. The cash value stays with the company. Okay? So talk about what that really is. And the way that I explain Guaranteed Universal Life is that you've got term, which is the cheapest form of insurance out there, right? You've got whole life, which is the most expensive, but people pay for it because they like the guarantees. This is a mixture of both. You slam both together. You get the cost effectiveness like a term with the permanent guarantees of a whole life, and then you get the best form of life insurance going forward. And no one's ever going to be able to replace that. Does that make sense? Make sure this stuff sinks in, guys. And if you don't have questions, please ask, because this is what's going to be paying your bills for the next few months and going forward. Everyone has life insurance. You run across this all the time. It's very important, if there's any red flags, that you're aware about what's going on with them. Okay?
So if they're, say, under age 55, it probably is better for them to be building the cash value because the chances of them needing to borrow against it are higher if they're under age 55 from a financial standpoint.
If I said that to my dad, he said, I don't want to borrow against anything. I hate credit cards. I don't want to ever borrow against this, and I want the cheapest form of insurance out there. Put it this way. Would you rather pay $50 more a month to have the potential to borrow against your policy? I would take the $50 a month, which is $600 a year, and in 10 years you have $6,000 that you don't have to borrow against. It's your own money. Okay? Does that make sense? So that's why I really like the Guaranteed Universal Life. It is hard to get. Put it this way, if you ask the health questions and they cannot get this policy, and this sounds really dumb, okay, but if they can't get this policy here, They cannot get this policy here. You'd be amazed how many agents are going to be like, Matt, oh, I got it, man. It's a big one. I'm really excited. We're going to do this. You get his death benefit cash out. You run the numbers. It's going to be great. But the only problem is he just had a heart attack last year. Why are you wasting your time, my time, the client's time? He can't even get this policy with having a heart attack last year. Why are we going to try to get him this one? Make sense? You're going to run across it, okay? So that's my basic rule of thumb. If they can't get this one, don't even bother going forward. They have diabetes with insulin. Those are another one. You got to be really careful with that. And you can always call the underwriting at that company to see what they say.
On the iGroup, is there a tool that explains what the super preferred and the preferred is?
There are underwriting guidelines that have that. I very rarely quote super preferred because I mean, it's really hard to get. Even for somebody who's in great health, they even look at your family history. You're in great health, but you know what? Your mom, had diabetes when she was earlier, so we think that you may have it. They look at those kinds of things. So there are people that I've run across that even in this office I thought would get super preferred that didn't. So most of the time, if they're over 65, I quote it standard. Unless they're in fantastic health, then I'll show them preferred. But I very rarely show them preferred plus. How are we doing? Do you guys need a break or anything?
So if they're really just wanting a burial policy and not interested in the estate planning, it's worth looking at the universal with them.
In my eyes, if they need any life insurance that's going to be at least a $25,000 death benefit, it's awesome. You're going to reach that sweet spot where you could write a $20,000 policy here, and it's the same price as a policy here for $25 grand. If you're running across $8,000 to $12,000 policies, obviously that's double the insurance. It's very rare that you can actually beat one of these at 25 grand for here. It's not cost comparative. Let's drop it down. I'll show you.
So kind of over 25,000.
Let's look at 15. We're trying to beat 73, right? It's almost the same price in this category for 15 grand as opposed to 25. So if you're meeting with somebody and you show them triplet of choice and you show them a 10, a 15, and then put a line and say 25 down here saying it's harder to get, but if you can get it, it's worth it, it's better to do that. Along those same lines, if you're talking about somebody who wants guaranteed universal life in the top category, if you do 100,000 or more and you quote it, it's a lot cheaper from 100,000 and above. So you can run a $100,000 quote and an $85,000 quote, and it'd be about the same. Keep that in the back of your mind. That's another big one.
How is that?
It's kind of like getting a jumbo CD.
Oh,
They give you better rates for a larger policy. It just so
Gotcha.
happens to start at 100 grand.
Oh, okay.
But that's one of my selling points. Be like, listen, you know what? Let's look at how cost effective it is, and it's actually better for you, cost per thousand, to go with the 100,000 as opposed to the 75. That kind of makes sense. Let's do that.
Did not know that.
Let's say you go through this and you quoted somebody's standard. That lady that got super preferred at 72, she got quoted, it was standard. Or I quoted her standard, she got preferred plus. I call her up, I didn't say, hey, great news, we just saved you $15 more on your policy. Great news, we can actually get you more insurance for the same price. Do you have a pen and paper? Gave her the options. She didn't care about saving a little extra money. She went with more life insurance. That's like a whole second sale that I just added onto it. It's basically like an upsell because she got that extra thing too. Just want to make sure I made you aware of that. Most people would think of it anyways, but again, I've seen agents that don't, and you're leaving money on the table there.
Where do you go to see the commission rates for that, for what you do on iGroup?
It's all going to be in your comp schedule. You go into your paper host.
On there also.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep, it's going to be in your final expense. Life insurance in your comp schedule is going to be this category. Life insurance. Final expense is going to be this category. Except for Gerber. Gerber's under the life insurance for some reason. Okay. Now we're actually into a little bit more of what we do in the house. John was mad at me for doing this. John's girlfriend's last name is Graf, and has no intention of getting married right now. So I took John, and I put her last name to it. So our example is John Graf. So John Graf is going to be our example today. He's but write down these stats here. He's born November 15th, 1949.
Okay, we got it. We got it.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
You're so good. You're ahead of yourself.
Yeah, it's been a long week. You know, I'm heading out I told you I'm heading out for the weekend, so my mind's already in Boston. So let's take a quick look at this here. So John Graf was born 11/15/1949. He's a non-smoker. He's diabetic with insulin. He has high blood pressure, cholesterol, takes a baby aspirin, and he's never had any surgeries. He's never ever been married, and he loves the Denver Broncos. He has Medicaid and Silver CIP already. Okay, so we're doing our fact finder. He's got Medicaid, he's got Care Improvement Silver, can't do anything there. He's got plenty of life insurance, he's had it for quite a while. He doesn't have the actual policy, his daughter has it. He thinks it's a whole life for 10 grand, and it comes out of the bank, not sure how much it costs, not sure what the company is either. Okay? This is the whole deal here, because I want you guys to be able to look at this as well, but we already talked about this earlier. I don't have the policy, my daughter has it, how do you pay for it? I'm mailing the payment. Well, do you have a stub that you keep? It comes out of the bank. Do you have a bank statement? Let's find out what company it is. It's with XYZ company. Let's give them a quick phone call, find out what's going on with it, okay? Once we actually find out what's going on with it, we find out that the death benefit is $64.37. Right off the bat, what are you noticing?
It's not a whole number.
Will someone else besides Lee answer
Sorry.
these questions? Please, I'm getting sick of hearing. No, I'm kidding. Death benefit $64.37, right? It's a goofy death benefit. People typically don't apply for that kind of life insurance, so something's going on there. Cash surrender value is $864. The monthly premium is $42.34, right? Issued 10/1/1998. There's a loan against the policy. Oh, that makes sense now. It used to be an $8,000 policy. The loan brought the death benefit down to $64.37. I called up and I asked the interest rate was at 8%, right? When you do 8% of $1,563, that's $125.04 a year in interest. Divided by 12, it's $10.42 a month, interest only. The insurance company said recommended payment is $22 a month to get that loan paid off in a decent time. So just with policy 8, that's what we're basically looking for when we call upon these type policies, right? Are there any questions about that? This is the real scenario that we're running across. Now when you're looking at the monthly premium payment, it's not really $42.34. It's actually that plus the recommended payment. At least the interest only to keep that thing going. And then policy B, you can see the similar things going on here. Well, the death benefit, cash value, premium, it was issued 4/1/206, and there's no loans. So the answers below are going to be what we actually run across. I've already pre-done these already, so make them all work out, right? So now we know what they already have for life insurance, and we also know what our options to be going forward are. How do we show the client this stuff? Do we just take this sheet of paper and just show it to them? One of the number one things that agents don't do is they don't convey their message to the clients. These people are retired. They're not, reading books. They're not studying and taking exams anymore. They're not trying to. They want things basic, simple to understand. They don't want to know about the world of life insurance, right? What we put together is basically a now and will be, or before and after. I'm going to do one specific to this example, but I want to show you the ones that I've actually done in person as well. By the way, this is that blue sheet that's got all the company information on it too. You guys. Do you guys have presentation books? Does everybody have something like this with a little 3-ring binder in it? If you don't, I'd really recommend getting this, because this is like a bag with all your brochures, and it's a nice slides and everything. It's like my Bible I bring everywhere with me. So if you don't have one, you can get them on Amazon for like $20. Don't get a fancy one because you're gonna beat the heck out of it. But it's good to have. So now and will be is our way of explaining to the client what we can actually do for them and have them understand it. I didn't buy one, just the camera.
Okay.
This is a gentleman I had up in Pawleys Island, and when I met with him, he actually had Prudential, right? Helped him with his med subs, everything was great. Matt, I've got plenty of life insurance, I'm all set, but I appreciate what you do with my Medicare. Let me show you a quick bucket presentation. I did it exactly like it, well, I did a better version, this is kind of choppy. Because I used exactly what he had for his numbers, right? And I said, I'm just gonna do a review. I'm not telling you to switch anything, just like when you go to the doctor, you go get your colonoscopies, mammograms, whatever else, just to make sure nothing's going on. Let me make a quick phone call and see what's going on with them. Lo and behold, he's got 6 policies with Prudential, okay? So, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, it's okay if you can't. He's got a bunch of policies, 54.55 for death benefit, 63.53, 64.88, and basically you can see the pattern where there's something going on with all of these policies here, right? All said and done, his life insurance, he's got $218,000 in life insurance. He pays $56.61 every single year. That's over $500 a month. This guy just kept selling him more and more policies. Prudential's a captive company, right? You want life insurance? We're going to get you Prudential. You want health insurance? We're going to get you Prudential. You want a gallon of milk? It's going to be Prudential. That's what they do. Go and pass this around real quick. I want to show you guys those examples.
You say this is a real client of yours here?